how the We Believe Warriors pulled off the greatest upset in NBA history.
To go one-on-one, get into the lane. Here's Davis.
The Warriors shocked the world in 2007 by defeating the Dallas Mavericks. It was the greatest upset in NBA history. For the first time ever, a top seed had been eliminated in the first round of a best-of-7 NBA playoff series. The Mavs were led by league MVP Dirk Nowitzki, one of the most skilled big men to ever play. The Warriors had no all-stars on their roster. What I'm about to share with you is a true David versus Goliath tale. A story that explains how a perfect mix of unlikely heroes can combine to create a real-life miracle. Let's begin in the summer of 2006, when the Warriors brought back legendary head coach Don Nelson. He had previously spent 8 years in the Mavericks organization, 6 as their head coach. During his tenure, he drafted and developed Nowitzki. Keep a mental note of Nelson's relationship with Dirk. We'll circle back to that later. He quit his job with the Mavericks in search of an opportunity where he could have more freedom to experiment and innovate. Nelson agreed to take the reins of a Warriors squad led by Jason Richardson and Baron Davis. Together, the duo offered a bona fide backcourt that was expected to lead a lousy roster straight down the toilet. Golden State was in the midst of a 12-year playoff dry spell, the longest in their franchise's history. It was the perfect opportunity for Nelson to build a fast-paced, positionless basketball team like no one had ever seen before. The Warriors were going to need some new players. Nelson's first move was to sign an unknown 6'8" forward named Matt Barnes. The now ESPN analyst claims that if he had not received a contract from the Warriors, he would have pursued a career as an NFL wide receiver. Although Barnes had only hit 10 combined three-pointers in his NBA career, Nelson had a special vision for him. He viewed Barnes as someone who could guard multiple positions and space the floor offensively by shooting threes. Nelson's prediction was spot on. Matt Barnes shattered his previous record by hitting 106 three-pointers that season and became one of the team's emotional leaders. Then, on January 16th, the Warriors traded Troy Murphy and Mike Dunleavy Jr. to the Indiana Pacers in exchange for Steven Jackson and Al Harrington. Jackson proved to be a star player for the Warriors in the playoff series versus the Mavericks. He was a 6'8" wing whom combined defensive versatility with guard skills and a fiery personality. Harrington was an athletic 6'9" shooter who didn't have the ball skills to be a guard or the post skills to play a traditional big man role in the NBA, a prototypical stretch 4 before the position was invented. Don Nelson now had his pieces in place to play the style that he intended to when he took the job. Success for the Warriors was not immediate. On March 4th, the team had 26 wins and 35 losses. No one at the time thought they had a snowball's chance in hell at making the playoffs, never mind winning a series. With their backs against the wall and on the brink of elimination, something began to click. The Warriors began running the floor relentlessly, like a hungry pack of cheetahs overwhelming their prey. They introduced rapid ball movement down the floor and across the perimeter that spun defenses around like spaghetti. A monsoon of three-pointers and a wicked confidence gelled simultaneously to inspire new hope, seemingly out of nowhere in the city of Oakland. The fans were going nuts. The Warriors heroically ended the season on a 16-5 run, including a streak where they won 9 of their last 10 games at the most critical part of the year. The stretch saw a high-octane offense that scored over 117 points per game, an unworldly number considering the era. They ended up winning just enough games to earn the 8th playoff seed. Their odds in the first round were extremely low. As stated earlier, they got matched up against the regular season MVP, Dirk Nowitzki, who was surrounded by a championship caliber roster. The Mavs lost in the finals in the previous season and were fueled with vengeance. The Warriors, however, had some unlikely factors tilting in their favor. They were red hot and extremely unpredictable. This team only had a limited amount of time together, but their chemistry and momentum made them an unusually threatening 8th seed. Don Nelson had a wealth of experience coaching the Mavs, particularly with Nowitzki, his previous project. Dirk was a matchup nightmare. He was 7 feet tall and combined ballerina footwork with a fundamentally perfect jump shot that he could release fading away in any direction. Typically, Nowitzki would get matched up against bigger defenders to try to contest his shot and compete with him for rebounds. However, Nelson knew that Nowitzki's kryptonite was faster and more aggressive defenders that could pressure him while he was further away from the basket. He formulated a game plan to defend him with smaller players like Matt Barnes, Al Harrington, and Steven Jackson. The coach assured his team before the series started that they were going to beat Dallas. Nelson knew Nowitzki's every movement from every spot on the floor. When he caught the ball at the free throw line, he liked to spin left. When he jabbed right on the baseline, he was setting up for his signature fadeaway jump shot. He was like Igor to Nowitzki's Frankenstein and was teaching his Warriors all the secrets that Dirk didn't even know about himself. The game plan was executed to perfection. Nowitzki saw his numbers drop dramatically. Following one of the all-time most efficient scoring seasons that earned him the league MVP, he flat out shit the bed in the playoffs.
With the air ball, but it's last touched by Beandridge, so the Mavericks will get the ball back.
To put this into perspective, Charles Barkley was the worst three-point shooter with a minimum of 1,000 attempts in NBA history. His career three-point shooting percentage was 27.7. Nowitzki, one of the best shooters, shot 21.1% from three in the series. The Warriors headed home after splitting the first 2 games in Dallas. They arrived to an arena that was flooded with a sea of rambunctious fans, all wearing electric yellow "We Believe" t-shirts. The atmosphere was so palpable that it felt like my TV was screaming at me while I watched the games in my living room. The crowd, which earned the nickname Roracle, made an obvious impact on the series. The fans cheering stifled the Mavericks and fueled Golden State to win all 3 of their games in Oakland. They went on to win the series on their home floor in 6 games. Steven Jackson put an exclamation point on the series with a 33-point performance in the finale. In the series, the Warriors poured down an onslaught of three-pointers, outshooting the Mavs 62-42 from outside the arc. Even though the Warriors' win was a true team effort, it would be remiss not to mention how outstanding point guard Baron Davis played in the series. Let's compare his stats to the guards who won MVP during the era. Taking his efficiency numbers into consideration, Davis put up scoring numbers that triumphed those posted by Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson, Steve Nash, and Derrick Rose during the best years of their career. Consider that for a moment. I don't think people realize how good Baron Davis truly was at his peak. Following the loss, Nowitzki was overflowing with frustration. In a fit of rage, he smashed a trash can into a hallway wall that left a hole in Oracle Arena. Instead of repairing the hole, the Warriors hung a yellow "We Believe" t-shirt over top of it to remember the story of Don Nelson and the 2007 Miracle. The plan is to eventually move the shrine into the Chase Center, the Warriors' new home arena. It was the combination of timing, coaching, players, and fans that allowed the We Believe Warriors to cement their immortality into the great book of basketball.